Is power.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information is power. Information is power.
It's not my fault. You've been lying, saying that I took away your peace. Drowning by yourself, now you wanna blame me. Like you have no options. I ain't take your options. Nah, I'm not the problem. Man, that's on you, yeah. You've been terrorizing me, yeah, I'm always wrong. I knew you lost your mind when you dropped that bomb. Girl, are you crazy? Yeah, you must be crazy. I've been thinking lately it's you. You stole your peace, put it on me. Baby, it's you. Lying like a rat, but take your stuff back. Baby, it's you.
All right, everybody, peace to you. Welcome to the program, the Information Man Show. Thank you.
Baby, it's you.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a great show tonight. I have an incredible guest on, Mr. 1950. This brother is dynamic. This brother is the epitome of what manhood is about and where we need to go as black men, particularly as men in general, in the 21st century. Tonight, I will be asking this brother a series of questions related to manhood, rites of passage, where we are as men, because we live in a society that's changing, and even the ideology of what it is to be a man, a woman, a family is also changing. So I want to introduce this brother onto the show, and he has a theme that he has called the silverback lifestyle. And I'm definitely going to ask him questions about what the silverback lifestyle is all about. Where did he get the theme of 1950, or where did he come up? Why did he come up with that name? I have some ideas, but it's better to get it from the brother himself as to the ideology, where it comes from, what he's really trying to do with the idea of a silverback lifestyle and the idea of being Mr. 1950, and what does that mean and what that encompasses. So we're going to break that down today. We're going to ask questions. Luckily today, I am utilizing some of the technology within StreamYard, so I will be able to put your questions or your thoughts in the chat room on the screen. So periodically, we want to take questions from the chat room if you have any questions. But tonight is going to be a show that is going to be mainly geared towards masculinity, what that is, towards men's issues. But of course, we're going to relate some of these issues as it relates to relationship, women in our life. Should we get married? Should we not get married? What is dating all about today? It's very confusing if a man should even get himself entangled in marriage at an early age, or should we focus more on ourselves, building up ourselves, looking at the world for what it is and not what we want it to be, and working and being strong on our purpose as men. Because I think when men are on their purpose, when we're striving for something, when we're striving for excellence, we have ourselves together. Women are simply a byproduct, not to diminish women in general, but women become a byproduct of a man's success. Whatever that success is, based on what that woman sees as success, whether it's money, his charisma, how the man treats that woman, how a man carries himself, you attract. Women have their beauty to attract men, but men, we have to attract women in a certain different manner, and masculinity is at the center of that. So with that said, I want to bring on my man, Mr. 1950. I'm glad to have this brother on. We were supposed to go live a week ago, but I made a mistake and kind of hurried it up a little bit further than what the show was scheduled. But I'm glad he's here with me. Me and this brother are going to connect. We happen to live in the same similar geographical location. So at some point, we're going to have to connect physically on ground to connect with each other. This brother's got a studio. This brother is 100% on point. And with that said, let me give him a clap and bring in Mr. 1950.
Man,
all right, brother.
Man.
All right.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, brother.
Information is
Yeah,
All
power.
right,
man,
brother.
It's a blessing to be on the show, man. That was fire right there, man. I appreciate that, man.
Right, brother. I
that.
appreciate you being here. I've been waiting
Yeah.
anxiously to get you on since day one that we connected on your particular program. Where do I begin, brother? I mean, first of all, I'm going to be periodically putting your channel in the chat room. You also have a website, and I'll have the mods that are here pop that through the chat room periodically throughout this evening. But I'm trying to figure out where do I start, because I got to understand something, brother. What brought you to YouTube? What brought you to social media? What is the origins? I want you to break it all down for us step by step. What is the origins in which you use the 1950 moniker? And then you have the silverback moniker. Now, so we need to understand this. The folks need to understand, brother. So let us know. Break it down, brother. Who is Mr. 1950?
And I appreciate that, brother. So me, first and foremost, I started off with a podcast called Raw and Uncut Podcast. I actually still do it with a couple other people. Generated a whole lot of downloads in that thing, man. I'm talking about big time, where it started rocking with some sponsors. But what I found is that I wanted to be a little bit more visual, and I didn't really want to go into it with the podcast thing. And I was like, you know what, let me branch off and kind of do my own thing on YouTube. And you know what I felt like what was missing was, I always felt like the traditional lifestyle, the traditional man was missing. And you don't really hear about people talking about get married. You don't really hear about people saying men need to own the things they do. You don't really hear about men saying, hey, this is what I expect from a woman. You don't really hear about these things until it's negative, right? So I wanted to make sure when I came into the game, I wanted to make sure that me, Mr. 1950, and the reason why I have that name is to bring awareness to my people, understanding what's going on, but also help men become more masculine, help men be more successful in enjoying their life. I think a lot of men believe that validation comes from a woman. And, like I always try to tell men, they can't validate you. You validate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a man, I think we need to start enjoying life without having a thought of a woman on our mind. Not saying we're not supposed to live with women or be married, because I promote that heavy. But like, some men need to understand that it's okay in your life to spend it without a woman. Everything does not have to be about a woman. Enjoy who you are, enjoy some of the things you do. But if you want kids, hey, make sure you're married. Let's not have kids without being married. Let's make sure we do things the proper way. So that's why I'm here. And Mr. 1950, the name comes from. In the 50s, men were men. Men spoke up and led families. They were married. They married young. They married with purpose. They also taught young men to be men. And I think that was a time where it shifted. And I know in our community, it shifted years prior to that. But I think functionality in our community was definitely happening in our community in the 50s. We were definitely bonded, from doctors, lawyers. We had teachers, our own schools. I mean, we were rocking and rolling. So that's where Mr. 1950 come from. I'm old school in my approach. And just because it's old school don't mean it was broken. We should have never tried to fix it.
So let me ask, sounds like you're a classic man. So what elements of the 1950s, I know in the 1950s, I know things were different at a time when it was really, we lived in the society was a society. Obviously I wasn't alive then, but the society was a society in which men knew what their purpose was, in terms of that when it came to family, that as a man, that you were the breadwinner, you were the one who set the barometer in your household. And for the most part, because of before you had women's lib, feminism, and all these different things that came about, women sort of knew what their place were in the household in terms of taking care of the kids. And so the man, and I think, let me say this, although we have these different roles now where women are working, men are working, we have a very economy where everybody is working, and then we have the idea of what your gender has changed. The question I would ask you, have men in the 21st century sort of lost our place and our purpose, which we once had, if it even has been lost, because of the fact that, the slogans, toxic masculinity, you now have a generation of people who are saying, although they were born biologically a boy or girl, they want to be the opposite sex. And so the values that you are speaking of, some would say that we're so far removed from that. And then some would say that that is an old school way of thinking that people may not be able to get on board with. But I think personally that men, we need to get back to some of those values, because we're losing it today. And that's why you see men. Matter of fact, you probably have seen studies on this, brother, where they've talked about how they've done studies where they show that men today have lost more male hormones than they did in the past, that something is happening to our hormones, whether it's the diet, whether what's happening to us emotionally. And then I know it's a diet. I agree with that. And I know for a fact in my studies and work that you have a high suicide rate amongst men, and it also has creeped into black men. So I know I said a lot of things there, brother, but the values that you're subscribing to are values that I subscribe to as well, in terms of a man's role. But where is it relevant today? if it even is relevant anymore?
Well, I think it's still relevant. I think the woman strives for a traditional lifestyle, but for some reason they have convinced a woman to believe that she never had a voice. And my grandma and him always had a voice. Like it was never. I don't believe it was never intended for women to believe that they wasn't supposed to be at home and they wasn't supposed to be taking care of families. I think what happened in society changed for women. And I think because of that, without a woman in the home taking care of kids and being the glue of the family, it changed the dynamic. So they're still striving for traditionalism, though. They want the man to be the provider. They want the man to be the leader. They want those things from a man. So that's still a traditional aspect that they do want. But then also, too, we got a lot of soft men in this world that believe that they don't supposed to lead. They don't, they come in with a thought process of, 50-50. Everything we do is, this is how we should do it. And whatever she wants to make her happy, not making the family happy. And I think a lot of men subscribe to that. I don't do a lot of complaining about women because I believe the man controls his own space, his own environment. So I really talk up men a lot. And that's because I believe the only way we can get back our society, because it's out of control right now, the only way we can get back our society is, for one, is to blend families. Blend families meaning take on kids that's not necessarily ours, to help out other, like, let's just say for me, I'm a mentor of over 10 men, right? And the reason why, the reason why is because I want to change their perspective on life. They don't have fathers, so I'm my brother's keeper. And I think we need to get back to things like that in order to help the community. Of course, as a man, you got to be able to not only take care of yours, but sometimes you got to reach for others. If you want to make a change, you can't complain and you can't be selfish. You can be selfish for the things you want, but for the community, you can't be selfish. We also need to start putting some blame on the church. I think the church has turned their back on the community based upon they sold out to the government. The government knew the thing that was keeping the black family together wasn't anything but the church. They knew that with the church came unity, came structure, and came some type of shame if you were doing wrong things. What they did, they removed shame from the community. And by removing shame from the community, then you have people believing they can run around and run amok and do whatever they want to do. So the thing is that as men, we have to not only bring together unity with family, but we got to bring our families back to some type of structure spiritually. Now, I don't believe in religion like that, but I will say structure spiritually, where there's a higher calling, there's structure in a household, there's structure in family, and we don't have to tolerate certain behavior from worldly people. And even in the Bible, they did mention that. They were saying worldly people.
Yes.
You can't be around so many worldly people. Now, I want you to look at the BET Awards. I want you to look at some of these Billboard Awards. I want you to listen to some of this music, watch some of this television. You'll see a lot of worldly people that we give our ears to that we shouldn't give our ears to. The hip hop destroyed our community. Hip hop was a part of destroying our community. They sold out on us too. What they did is that they put a lot of the evils and glorified that for our community. Man, I love the music. Don't get it wrong. But I would never say it's our culture, because our culture was what? Our culture was respectful. Our culture was traditional. Our culture had rules. Our culture had structure. And if you look at the overall template of hip hop, that's not what it is. And so because of that, what they did was they elevated that. They made popular people who's in the communities who's destroying the communities, selling drugs, making money off people, robbing, stealing, killing. Okay, so now they publicize, they pump that up,
Wow.
and so now
Facts.
what
Facts.
they did,
Tell the truth.
what they're doing now. So they got us believing that that's the way to make money, and that's the way we treat women, and that's the way we run our families. They got that going for us now. For the past 20, 25, 30 years. So now what they're doing is working on making sure that we are numb to LGBTQ community that comes in and want all type of rights, all type of situations. And hey, more power to you. If you want to live your life that way, that's fine. But you should not force things on my kids. If I don't want to have things forced on my kids, and we as men cannot be afraid to lose our jobs, platforms, or anything we got going on because we have a different opinion about things supposed to be ran.
Right. Man, brother, it's powerful stuff here. Let me see Greg Harrison, but my brother, if you go out and see a gorilla movie, do you think you're a gorilla? Are kids, or are they falling for the weak-minded nonsense? Interesting. Let me see what other people are saying. Go ahead, brother, if you want to answer anything.
Yeah, well, so the silverback for me, if you look at a silverback, and I was called that because the way I play sports and the way I carry myself, because silverbacks are unapologetic about everything they do. They believe in structure with their kids. They believe, hey, everything has a place. They're very protective. This is an animal I can identify with. Everybody has an animal they can identify with, but it ain't gonna be like in 2021. A lot of these men are flamingos. Okay, so what I'm saying is, for me, the lifestyle of a man is dominated by that man, his beliefs, his understanding, his leadership, his structure, his legacy, his last name. He has a responsibility, and that is what silverback lifestyle is understanding and forming the plan on what's exactly about to go on until I'm gone.
Wow. This is what I want to say to you, brother. You said something that really stood out to me. A few years back, I was a fixture on the Sunday Rumble on O'Shea's channel, and we used to be on there, and brothers used to just go at each other. And I had my share of battles with people on the program. And one of the things that used to always bother me is that on occasion, as there were those who had their opinion about the community, that either it should burn, don't be a cleanup man, don't go back and clean up a situation, because for some brothers, they felt that, well, single mothers, if women are the main ones, so they say, raising young boys or raising kids or single mothers, then if those young boys grow up and get into mischief behavior, then it is a reflection of that single mother. That would some would say that if women are truly single, although we know through research, we know through empirical evidence that boys in particular need men in their life for direction. And if they don't have that direction, they're out of control. I know this for a fact because in my career, I deal with people in the penal system, men of all ages, men of all different gang backgrounds, and they all have this same thing in common. When you look at their history, there was a dysfunction in the family in which the father was either absent, or the father was a dysfunctional father themselves, or maybe they were in gangs themselves. So the young man grew up and it became almost part of their culture to join a gang that became the family. So where I'm getting at is that you said something about, I believe in mentorship. I believe that if we want to change the narrative for whether it be the feminizing of our young men or the changing what it is that we don't like, I always tell brothers, you can either support an organization that is doing that which you don't want to do yourself, or you can get involved yourself. But first of all, you have your first loyalty to your own family. You have a daughter, you have a son. That's the first one. As my man Teapot always says, you have to take care of those that fall under your shield of your family name, your family. A lot of times when I brought this up, brothers would sort of like, they didn't want to deal with that solution base. It was more that it is what it is. Certainly women cannot raise young men to be men, and that is a problem. But another problem, brother, is that when you look at a study that came out by the Center for Disease Control, where they looked at black men in the lives of black children, they found that it wasn't that a lot of black males don't have their father, is that some of them, if they don't have the father living in the household, the father is still in their life. They're just not living in the household, but they're in the life of the child. And that black men were rated the best fathers in this country based on our attentive to our kids, our involvement more than any other group across the board of other races. Now, I'm not saying that black men, this is not to boast and say that we're better. I'm just saying that this is what the data put out. Another thing that I noticed that I've been ranting on my channel about is that I think black women in particular and women in general, if the father is in the life of that child, but he doesn't live with you anymore, but he's doing everything he's supposed to do across the board, then I think especially in the black community, too often our women often will say that they are a single mother when they actually are not. And when they go and when they're in a study, when they say that, then people who do these studies will come away with this thought that, okay, every black household is a single mother where there is no father, because a lot of our women, black women in general, tend to roll off their lips that they are single mother, when sometimes they do have the assistance of the father. And then they will also say, I'm the father and the daddy when it comes to Father's Day, which I cannot stand.
Tell the truth.
I know I said a mouthful again. What is your stance on each of those things I said? You could take one step at a time there.
So single motherhood, to me, it's hard for me to hear a lot of men complain about it, because the only way they're single mothers is because of men making bad decisions with them, right? See, we have to understand that your legacy is more important than living in the moment, right?
Right.
So, like, as a man, the only time you should have a kid or kids with a woman is when you are married, when you have a bonding contract with this woman, so that she understand, the kids understand that this is what's going to happen. Too many times men take their legacy for granted. And what they do is that they have babies thinking it's going to either keep the woman or the man, or vice versa, right? And then women got to take ownership, because women are the only one who have a choice whether this baby comes in this world living or dying. They have a choice. Right. Men don't have the choice. So what I would say to women is that, of course, I'm going to hold you accountable just like these men. Do not get pregnant until you are married. And I tell the men the same thing. Do not get anyone pregnant until you're married. And I got a show coming out. It's called Make Virgins Great Again, right? Because we, as our community, don't preach abstinence like we should. We don't. There's no talk about that. That we don't tell our kids be virgins. We just tell them don't get nobody pregnant. Right. Or if they need condoms, get them condoms. No, I don't promote any of that. We have an obligation to make our kids better than we are, and we're not doing that. I do like that study on what you said about the fathers. It is very important for us men. I'll go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say they said that the myth, they said it was based on 70% of young male children in particular are living in households without a father. And what the study showed, they looked at Chicago in particular, is that I think it was like 2.5 million fathers out of 1.7 million are with their sons, whether living in the household or not, and they are involved. They said that black men are the most attentive fathers when it comes to taking care of their kids, reading to them before they go to bed at night, being involved in their school and educational curriculum and things of that nature. So they had ranked it us against white men, Asians, and Latinos and other groups of people. And it simply said that the numbers showed that black men are more involved than what society actually has depicted us as, and that is not that we. And then I brought up, and the reason why I brought up our black women sometimes saying that they're single, because when black women say that, when they know damn well that they have the father in their life and the father's doing his job, he's not musty, dusty, and crusty, they are actually helping the negative statistics that make it look like that every black woman is single, because black women, for whatever reason, and I'm generalizing here, sisters. I don't know if it's in the culture or just the words that we use, but we tend to repeat words over and over again, like single mother, and then you'll hear black women say, "I'm a strong black woman." Those are two words that black women tend to hang on to. I'm a strong black woman and I'm a single black mother. And to me, personally to me, when you go back to the traditional values of 1950 and even beyond that, oftentimes the man would be seen as the strength, and the woman would be seen as the more softer of the two sex. The woman would be the comforter to the man. The woman would be that perfect bond and balance to the man, the masculine energy versus the feminine energy. And so what has happened over time with feminism becoming reality is that women have sort of gravitated towards identifying themselves as strong, when once that was something that was more identified with men. In general, I'm generalizing here, ladies and gentlemen. Keep that in mind now.
We need to generalize, though. And I think a lot of times they try to remove that because this thing called inclusion. We need to stop including everybody and speak about what our eyes see. Our eyes see the majority doing X, Y, and Z. So we have to point it out. If that's not you, then fall back. Understand, hey, they're not discussing me.
That's
you
right.
get what I'm saying? Because it comes to a point where one of our biggest problems, I think, right now too, and this comes back from the silverback. Like we're not supposed to really care about your feelings as men. We are logical thinkers. It's going to be uncomfortable. It ain't going to feel good. It ain't going to always look right. It ain't going to always seem right. But at the end of the day, that's manhood. And we kind of lose ourselves a little bit when all of a sudden we become these emotional creatures. That's not even our DNA makeup. We are more logical, instinctive, and they're more emotional. So in a lot of their things that they do, what do they try to make you do? Right? They say things like emotionally available, right? Like, and you think they were saying that in the 50s? You think they were saying that in the 60s or 70s? Because the reason why is because when you have a logical thinking man, what are they normally doing then? They're looking up to you. They're respecting you. But when you say emotionally available, now we're on the same playing field. Right. Now I'm going to have you feeling emotional. And we as men need to start really embracing what's in us. That's not us. And it's too many times I be seeing this, these programs, Fix My Life, and these Oprah Winfrey had 2 decades destroying the whole understanding of what's going on with manhood. Then we got men putting on dresses and making billions of dollars from it, making it okay, and we get numb. This is what I'm saying. Like, we as men have to speak up on things that's not looking right, and we can't include everybody's feelings. So I get it, but I can't get with it. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you this question, because I'm glad that you went into that area, Mr. 1950. Do you think, and I know some of the folks in the chat room may be triggered by what I'm going to say, may and may not. I tend to believe that the ideology that happened back in the day, where you had these goofy ass psychologists
Tell the truth.
telling women and telling them you need to teach your boys to be more emotional, get in touch with their feelings. When I grew up, we're probably around the same age. I'm a Generation Xer. Something happened around the time that I was a kid growing through my teens where it was all tough love. You want to be a man? We're going to teach you how to be a man. I learned manhood not only from my father, but the men in the barber shop, the men in the community who weren't going to give me a break. They were going to teach me the hard knocks way of life. And then something happened as I got into my 20s and got older. There was a change with the generation coming behind me, where it was this whole thing about get in touch with your feelings. Don't be so masculine. be a sensitive man. So now we have a society, as feminism, in my opinion, start to take off. Now men are being told to be more sensitive because that's what women want. And then we know through growing up that's sometimes can be bullshit, because when I was in school, I could see who the girls would gravitate towards. They liked the bad guys. They would go towards the guys that had the swagger, that were cool. And then you had guys that were told, be the nice guy. And then those were the guys that were being rejected because you had your mother. See, this is the problem. This is why you can't have, mothers cannot raise men, young men, to be boys, because fathers are not going to teach their sons all this sensitivity bullshit. They're going to teach you the ideas of manhood. Ladies, you do not want a muted man. If you teach your son all this sensitivity stuff, all this soft pedal stuff, yes, we should have an understanding of our emotions, but you should not be trying to raise us in the way that you raise your daughter. You're sending out a young man into the world who is neutered emotionally because you have prepared him. I would say to women who are truly single, get your son, if you don't have a man in his life or a father or his father, get him involved in a rites of passage program where he can learn those things. Because when it came to dating, Mr. 1950, it was men who told me, boy, stop being scared. If you see a woman that you're interested in, step up to her, walk up to her, be respectful, be a gentleman, of course, but shoot your shot. We don't, a lot of these guys today are so scared to even know how to talk to women. They've lost those skills because in my mind, they've been neutered by this whole, let's make you a softer, nicer man. And that shit doesn't really work in the real world when it comes down to it.
And I want to attack the gentleman thing you said a little bit, because
go ahead.
You got to remember the gentleman from a woman's standpoint is pedestalizing the woman. Now you got to understand, you definitely got to understand where that comes from. So a woman teaches boys to be their husbands.
That's right.
They're teaching them how to be their husbands. Not send them in the world masculine, not send them in the world to raise their own family and be protective and have structure and boundaries. No, she calls it gentleman. What she's doing is saying this: it don't matter what this woman say to you. You be a sweetheart to her. You make sure she understands that she's beautiful every day. You make sure that you open closed doors for women. You make sure that, if somebody says somebody, you protect her honor. Men are taught to treat women great and good. There's no class for a woman. When you see a woman and a daughter's being taught, you got fathers, punk fathers that teach their daughters to change tires, to pump gas, to have a toolkit, because they said, what? I don't want them relying on a man. Then you don't teach that daughter how to be a wife, but you got moms trying to teach that boy how to be her husband, not somebody what everybody else is going to love, her husband. So in her image, she's creating this boy on what she would want from a man, not being a man. And that part right there is a huge part that we're missing. So when you hear men say, I'm a gentleman, what does that necessarily mean, right? Does that mean opening and closing the doors and treating? Okay, so why is it when a man say, hey, I expect my woman to fix my plate? That's a problem. That we have an issue with a woman catering to her man, but there is no qualms for a man catering to a woman. We as men have to take responsibility for that, because we're not telling our boys that this is not okay.
Right.
I don't know, man.
What I want to say to that is that I think it's dangerous, because you're right about that. We are sort of taught as men very young. You open a door for a woman. you show chivalry, gentlemen, all that different things, but it's all based on you putting the woman on a pedestal. And then if I say to my woman, you know, can you make me a plate? If I'm supposed to put the woman on a pedestal according to the way things are today, then a man who is, to me, if a man is doing what he's supposed to do for his woman, I think a woman that's worth her salt and gold, she should be willing to cater to her man, no questions asked, if that man is treating her properly. Now, this is the thing that's different when you look at American culture. There's other women from other cultures that I've been around through work, and what I noticed is that they're always married. They always got a ring on their finger, and I'm like, why? And then when you see them in action, because in their culture they are taught to once when they're married to a man, that they cater to their husband, whether it be having a meal ready for him when he comes into the house and from a hard day work. Ladies, if a man is going out and he's working hard and he's working, he's professional and he's taking care of you and the family and he treats you with respect, what's wrong with having his bath water ready for him if you got home before him, or a meal? I would say this, and I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't think it's anything wrong for me as a man if I get home before my wife to also prepare a bath water for her and be romantic in that way, in that bath with my woman. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying it has to go both ways because, like you said, we have been culturally conditioned as men that we're supposed to give women chocolate for Valentine's Day. And ladies, if you do the history of Valentine's Day, it does not come out of a very nice place. It does have some history in paganism, and the chocolate and the red colors represent things, but that's a whole nother show. I got to talk to my brother Sanchez about that. He gets into those types of topics, but we are taught that on that day, we're supposed to give women flowers and candy and all these sort of things like that. But ask yourself this, Mr. 1950, what day in this country, in our culture, is a day in which men are really revered? And don't say Father's Day, because that's bullshit. Because on Father's Day, nobody gives a damn about us on Father's Day because they don't even market Father's Day the way they do Mother's Day. But I'll stop there.
I got you. I would say Thanksgiving. And the reason why is this. I was taught by my grandma. She always said your woman's Super Bowl should be Thanksgiving Eve.
Wow.
And it should be where men are watching the game, smoking cigars with the buddies. They should be enjoying life and seeing with the family that they're leading and seeing the nurturing side of the woman come out with the meal. And we pray over the food. We lead the family into the family room. We are being revered as being the king of the household. And see, this hasn't been praised, because what happened is that Thanksgiving has become, we're gonna go to mom's house. How long we supposed to go to mom's house? Men, I don't care if she's 25 to 30 years old. You have her cook a small Thanksgiving at the house. Get her prepared for her to understand that leading a family, this is your part. So again, I know you mentioned earlier about running the bathwater and all that. There's nothing wrong. I always promote men treating their women good. But what I want to say is that we have to understand is once we say man needs, we don't have to butter it up and come back and say something about what a woman wants. It should go both ways. We're conditioned to believe that having standards and having a line in the sand about what they can and can't do in this relationship.
Yes.
We've been conditioned to believe that we're not supposed to really revere that. We don't really supposed to talk about that. And what I'm saying is, this is the silverback in me. We're not tolerating that anymore. Men, I always say you are the prize. Women are revered to be the prize. Why? For one, and even biblically, we are in the image of God. It says it in the Bible. Women have the rib from us. What? Right? This is this is what I'm saying. I don't want to get too far into that way, but what I'm saying is our legacy. Why, when you marry a man, we take over the last name, right?
Right.
The vessel that carries the baby, the seed comes from who? It comes from us. This is our legacy going through them. She produces it, a wonderful thing. I'm not diminishing that at all, but I will say it's coming from us. You are creating it. It is now, this is our offspring. But you have the same last name as me. You understand me? I'm the leader of the castle. I'm the leader of the family. I'm putting up the structure. Whose legacy is it? This is what I'm saying. Men, stop only thinking women are valuable for one thing. That is where the market has put you. Your mind thinks value from a woman is what she can only do physically. You've been lied to just like they've been lied to. So you believe, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, so are you saying that we should, as men, not try to value women only for their physical characteristics?
Oh, yeah.
Because I see it all. I've seen it all the time growing up where guys go to the club, they get caught up with women based on their physical looks. And I'm not going to lie. I like a beautiful woman. I like a booty as well. But there's some guys who they choose that only as a characteristic of that woman being proper for relationship or marriage. And then when they get involved with that woman, maybe impregnate her or something like that, then they come into the barbershop. I used to see it all the time. Oh my God, I didn't know she was crazy, man. Where'd you meet her? The club. She had a big booty, man. And then all of a sudden, did you get to know her? Did you get to know where her mind was? Did you take time? Why'd you pump her? And, so I think that's one of our problems as men. I tend to believe, Mr. 1950, that as a man is a man who can control maybe his possibly his emotions, and also a man is a man who can also control to a certain extent his physical desires. For example, I'm 51 years old. I'll be 52 this upcoming November. I notice as I've gotten older that I'm not driven by the woman, by the sex anymore. Meaning, yes, I like sex, but it's not driving me when I'm dealing with women as it might have did when I was younger. It's not driving me. It's not my first thing that I'm like all hungry about. And maybe it's because I've been there, done that, or maybe it's just that I've just matured. And then I have more to lose in my life now than I did before. So it's very important when it comes to selecting the right kind of woman. But I want you to, you touched on something powerful, but there's my man Teapot, Prophet of Thought, is in the house, and he had a statement. He said, a man should not be gentle, but a man should be civil, strong. I wanted to know if you agree with his statements. If I could find what he wrote, but that's the gist of where he's coming from. Oh,
he's 100% right. He's 100. Right. He is exactly right. We are masculine, and sometimes people, and this is why they try to create the toxic part, because what they try to do is have us walking on eggshells and lessen what we do as men. There was a time that a man wasn't going to tolerate. See, the reason why men are very respectful to each other, because there's always an undertone of a threat of violence. There's always at any time there could be some violence that happen and somebody's going to get hurt. So we're a lot more respectful to each other. If you look at a woman on how she views us, sometimes you see a lot of women hitting men and lashing out, and a lot of women be like, man, but what did he do? What did he do? They justify this behavior because they're emotional creatures.
Right.
So when you see men doing that to women, what do we say? He's a loser. He's a bum, because that's correct. He's emotional. He's stooping to that level. But what I want to say, let's get back to what your boy said.
Yes.
That is 2,000% correct, because men, we have to understand what we do, meaning we as masculine men are strong. We're loud at times. We're going to, there's no, even in the Bible, it says for women to respect us. Over amount of respect. It doesn't say anything about love. What does it say in the Bible about women? They want us to love them because even he knew that women respond to care, to understanding that you are covering them, that you have their back, that you're going to watch out for them. That's how they respond. But for men, we respond with respect. You're not going to talk loud to me. You're not going to be in my space and talk crazy. What you mentioned earlier about the sex thing. Mm-hmm. I'm 43. I feel the same way. And the thing is the reason why is because men, as we get older, our peace in our life becomes number one priority. Number one priority is peace. We are okay. We are fine with being without. We are okay with living. We can be by ourselves for days and days and days and be good with that.
Right. And just to get the correct what Teapot had said, he said a man should be civil, confident, respectful, but not gentle. And you're right, and that the whole gentleman concept does come from the other side of it comes from a woman's perspective and how they want to see how they want to see men be. Let me do this right quick. Let me go ahead, brother 1950, and shout out a few people in the chat room.
Hey, go ahead. Yeah.
And give some respect to folks in the chat room, real quick if I can, right here, brother. So let me see right here what I'm going to do real quick as I go through this real quick, like. And all right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to name some folks that are in the chat room. Give a little bit of respect where respect is due. I appreciate everybody coming over. This has been a great interview so far. We got more to come, so don't go anywhere, everybody. And here we go. I'm going to read off some things. All right. We got Evolution Rebirth. Lady Net is in the house. Old Deuce is in the house. Raw B Privilege is in the house. IMV is in the house. We got Dips in the house. Old Head Deuce. Let me see. DOD is in the house. And then we got Natural in the house. Sister's coming in the house. She's always coming over and supporting the brother. We got brother Greg Harris in the house. Purple Paisley, DOD. We got QT1. Everybody's been saying some great things in the chat room, and I'm going to read off some of the things that you've been saying. I think QT1 has said this, ladies and gentlemen. QT1 said, I love this. I started cooking Thanksgiving when I was 20 because I loved what my grandmother did. I still have to be at her home every year. So she loved that. Let's see. Jackie said this. Now I may be revealing my age, but a lot of how to be a wife teaching was done at church for her. Okay, and she also said that she had a strong father in her life. We got Joanne Swansea Foot, that's my sister from France, saying, Lord, don't expect me to do all the work at home as I am independent and you don't provide for the both of us, and still doesn't mean he won't have to help in the house. The home mental change or charge is real. Well, I think if a man is doing what he's supposed to do, I think there's nothing wrong with a woman catering to her man if her man is on point. Then we got CJ in the house coming through. I appreciate CJ saying this. Some of these mothers rely on their grown sons as a husband. And I want to touch on that. And Purple Paisley said, my son learned how to treat a woman by their father on how he treated me as their mother. And that's powerful stuff right there, Sister Purple Paisley. Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
All right, we're gonna get back to this interview. Everybody, thank you. Do me the biggest favor if you can, ladies and gentlemen. I would like you all to share this video in your social media. You know how I do over here. Share it in your social media because that would be well respected. Let me put this up here real quick. As you can see right there, I want to say thank you for watching the video today. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate it. All right. Clap to everybody in the chat room. All right, let's get back to it, ladies and gentlemen.
Tell the truth.
All right. So we got that's another thing I wanted to somebody said something that the reason why women sometimes will try to teach their sons to treat a woman a certain way because to a certain degree, and I believe this to be wholeheartedly, the son to the mother, and tell me if you either agree or disagree or have a different opinion. The son to the woman or to that mother tends to be the only reliable and only stable, consistent man in that woman's life. Because you have women who get married, they go through divorces, they have relationships that end up not lasting, or they break up with a boyfriend or the husband, whatever. But the son always tends to be steadily in the mother's life. And so the woman, one way or another, will project onto the son what she really wish she could have in a man. And she sort of tries to train the son to treat women in the way she wished she had been treated herself, because maybe she had not been treated very well herself for whatever the reasons are. So therefore, the son is psychologically the only stable man in a woman's life. What is your thoughts about that, brother?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. She's making the man that she wanted to marry. And most of these women marry their sons mentally. And why nobody ever say that's toxic? Because that's toxic. For a woman to project her energy onto this young man is toxic. This does nothing but destroy him. Nothing but destroy him. We need to understand that a woman, you may be a single mother, but your best move is your next move. You need to buck up. You need to find you a good husband that's going to come in and help you mentor your child. Mentor and father your child. Marry a man respectful and responsible. Don't just because you're a single mother think that is done and over with. If he's not in the child's life, it is up to you to bring somebody else in this life that could be. A lot of stepdads in this world has done great things. They don't get credit. Those men don't get credit, but you need to make your best move, your next move, and stop destroying these boys thinking that they're men and you're expressing in them things that they're incapable of doing. They're going to lead families one day. Teach them to do that. Best thing for a mother to do is be tough on her son, just like a father would.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I just put Mr. 1950's YouTube channel and his website several times in the chat. So those of you who would like to subscribe to the brother's channel, the link to his channel is in the chat. And I'm going to also say this. Not only is it in the chat room right now, but the link to Mr. 1950's YouTube channel as well as his website is in the description of this video. So if you go in the description of this video, you will also find it embedded right underneath the description in the video. So make sure you have a chance to subscribe to his channel and check out his website and what have you. That's another question I wanted to ask you, good brother. What do you think on YouTube? There's this whole issue around the battle of the sexes, men against women. Men, you got to be on your side. You got to figure out what side you want to be on, what have you. is this battle of the sexes is it real, or is it just a figment of social media phenomena, or is it a problem off of line and in the real world? Now, we know that there's feminists out there. I'm not a big fan of feminists for a lot of different reasons. Because for one, feminists play these games where they want to say that they're strong, as I had said before. They want to have jobs equal to men. Okay. You can have your access to jobs and all those different things. Feminists want the certain equality to be able to say that they can do what men can do, that they're on the same page with us, when actually we're not the same. Men are physically different than women. This is the problem in our society. We have a society that keeps trying to make people the same. No, we're not. We're not the same biologically. We're not the same physically. The way we think, our makeup, we're not the same. But yet the feminist agenda is trying to make it as if women and men are the same, and they're not. What I notice about feminists, while they want to be strong and they want to be independent and they want to be able to say we can do anything that men can do, now when their life is in danger in the community, now these same feminists who say I am woman and hear me roar are the same women that will turn around and say, oh, I'm feminine now. Where are the men to protect me? Wait a minute. You just said that you are equal to us as men. You can do the same work that we do. You're the same as us, that there's no different. We should all be treated equal across the board. But when it comes time for when someone's trying to break in your house, you're not going out there. You're asking for the man sleeping next to you to go out there, or you're looking for a man in the community to step up and be a man and give you protection. So I tend to think that women who are feminists, that sometimes they're lying to themselves, because really when it's convenient for them, that's when they want men to play this role of masculinity, which otherwise they want to try to diminish the importance of masculinity any other time. What are your thoughts? I know it's a very loaded statement I said.
Well, I mean, of course, I'm against feminism. I mean, that right there alone, I'm all into some rights for women. I mean, the Voting Act and stuff like that. I appreciate freedom of choice for the women. It is their body. But those, I don't want to talk about what's going on now with this vaccine, so we won't change it up. But what I would say, a lot of it has to do with the equality of a woman. And I don't have a problem with equality of a woman, but when you then say because a woman stays home and takes care of her kids, that's abuse, and that's downplaying of a woman's value, then you're taking away from the family environment, right? You're taking away, feminism really have women believing that dropping your kids off at daycare is what you're supposed to do. And they have made it seem to women that, hey, go chase this money because these men are garbage. And so again, we as men have to take some type of accountability in everything that happens in this world. Yes, they had a feminist movement. Where's the male movement now? Where is the men that say, you know what, we're done with all this walking on eggshells, not able to have a voice in regards to what's going on in this world. No, we need to come out and speak. Men are afraid, women are not. And this is where I have an issue, because I think men have an obligation to speak, but we don't, because we're afraid. And we don't want to hold women accountable anymore. We don't want to shame them for having multiple sex partners. We don't want to shame them for having babies when they're young. We don't want to shame young men for having multiple baby mamas. You know what I mean? Like, everything is supposed to be free and included. So this is another thing, like I always say, we have issues with, because we are soft. We're raised to be quiet. We're raised to respect women over our own dignity, over our own thoughts and our respect. If we don't pedestalize a woman, we're misogynistic. If I have an opinion about my woman to cook, clean, and take care of the kids, that's a problem. Oh, he's a pig. But it's okay for a man to provide, take care of, and make sure she has all of her needs met. But when it comes to my standards, no, we can't have those. So yeah, the feminism took a toll on women. But the black community ought to be ashamed of itself, because feminism was attacked in the power structure. And that had nothing to do with our community. Again, like we wasn't in power.
Right. You know? Really, if you really look at feminism for what it really is, and I talk about this a lot I have talked about it on my program, is that it was really a movement in which white women were looking to share in power with white men. So they saw that. So because white men historically in this country put white women on a pedestal already in terms of sexuality and beauty. When we came out of slavery into Reconstruction, that's when the Klan really ratcheted up, because they were thinking that black men were going to savage after white women and rape them. So they put white women on this pedestal, and then you had black men being lynched all across this country for being accused of trying to go after white women. And then white women at some point in time, because they have always been on the front lines of this thing we call racism, white supremacy, they've been on the front lines of it. And what has happened is that they want to share in power with their white counterpart right on the same line. And so their goal was always about what was in their best interest. The civil rights movement benefited white women when it came to them being able to get certain rights to go to school. They really benefited from that heavily. Black women, some black women brought into that narrative at some point in time. Now, this is what I want to say to you to get right to the point here. Because I did a podcast about this because I was listening to Woodlock or whatever his name. He has a show. He's a conservative.
Jason Whitlock.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of him, but he had some things to say in his diatribe about black women. Now, there were some things that he said that I have to admit that he was speaking truthfully. But on the problem that I had with his dialogue at the end of the day is that he never gave solutions. It was sort of like, okay, this is what black women did. They turned around, kissed their ass to us and said the hell with us, and went on with feminism because that got them certain privileges that they didn't give to black men. But my question is, as black men, because you said something, Mr. 1950, you said that we have to be responsible to a certain degree for the environment that we have in this world because we're supposed to be in charge. My question is, why did we as black men allow that to take place? And if it did take place because we were either out of work, the welfare check was more favorable, and black men were having a hard time finding work, and we know that you can destroy the black family by taking the black man out of the equation of that family economically, socially, and spiritually. Mm-hmm. Still to this day, if that is the case, then we as black men need to take charge. We cannot change what happened in the past. We can't sit back and just complain and say, okay, our black women took feminism. Okay, what the hell are we going to do about it? What are we going to do as men to change the narrative? I'll stop right there.
And I'm gonna answer that question. I want to add to what you're saying just a little bit, but I do believe drugs. I think drugs, mental health, and I also believe the military, church, and poverty. Those are 5 things that affected the black man in order for him not to be able to take care of his family. And I said the church, and let me tell you why I said the church. See, the church became a location for families to come. And if he wasn't married, most of the time, what they did was that they continued to berate you for not being married, you for not being with someone, and you're getting older and older, and they're wondering why, and now you're being judged because of you out with these women and you're doing things. So men said, forget that, man. I'm not answering, and I'm not coming to the church because I don't want to have to deal with none of these judgmental people. That was one. Military was a fashionable thing. Even my father was in the military, and he used to tell me all the time. My grandfather was too. He was in the Korean War, and my father used to always say, they made it fashionable. This is almost a cool thing for our communities. They used to come in our communities and promise us everything, promise us this, that, and the other, and we'd be on the front line in the war, fighting for a country that don't care nothing about us.
Right.
And he said we'll be in the war, we'd be reserved just to get paid because we couldn't work. And in order to take care of your family, sometimes you had to do what? You had to get jobs that you necessarily didn't want. And what did we do? We gave our lives for that. And so now also you're away from your families. So if you're away from your families and they got sons and daughters that they're raising, who's raising these kids? You know what I mean? So then the family structure is dividing. Then we had drugs. Drugs was pumped in our communities. The 1980s doesn't get enough credit for destroying the black family. The dope era destroyed our black family. It put a sword through it.
Right. Slowly
but surely, it put a sword through it. So what I'm saying is this is how we get it back. This is how we get it back. We get it back by mentoring our young boys and our daughters.
Yes.
We're also being understanding as men and saying, you know what, this is what's going to happen in my life. This is how I'm going to carry myself because I am a model for other men to see. We're no longer going to support negativity in our communities because we, as black people, are the only group of people that support the mischief in our music, the mischief in our neighborhoods. We're numb to murder. We're numb to crime. We run when we see other black people running. We run with them. When police pass us up, we turn around breaking our necks. We got our 5-year-old kids saying they go to police, Dad. What do they know about the police at 5 years old?
And they shouldn't like that.
They shouldn't. And so the thing is that us as men, we have to take control of ourselves. We have to take control of our communities by not allowing the negativity. Stop playing this hip hop music in the car with your kid. Stop believe your kids to think the BT Awards is real. Stop also allowing your kids to believe Cardi B and all that, to thinking that those are the people we supposed to listen to vote for the president of the United States.
Right.
Stop allowing people to come in our communities and kiss our babies and believe they're doing something for our people when they're not passing a law for us. Stop allowing people putting images in our face, believing, oh, this is the first black man that ever did something for us as a president, and we allow him to get a pass because he done nothing for us in our communities. But yet, passing laws for the LGBTQ community. We can't allow any black man or woman not to be held accountable for not helping us out in the community. Why are we waiting on people to get paid by the government? Our black people, Reverend Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, and so many other people getting paid to pass Sean King. These people are paid to pass legislation and laws. These people are paid to keep black people quiet. We need to understand as black people, we need to create our own independent party thinking for ourselves. We need to understand more about politics so we can have more money for our schools and educate our kids to be free thinkers. Right now, we all are on the same page about thinking. That's on us. We have to change the narrative. We have to make sure that what's wrong is wrong and what's right is right. We gotta be bullies to the negativity. I refuse to allow negativity in my family. I refuse to allow the disrespect come from outside of things that I don't believe in or I don't think should have a place in my home to come in my home.
Right.
Go ahead and ask the Asian family, is it okay to have somebody not come meet the parents, but they dating your daughter for 10 months?
That's crazy. That'd be crazy.
That'd be crazy. And this is what I'm saying. The respect that needs to be happening for the family needs to get back. And only we can change that. A woman, what does she do? They follow. They be submissive. They're the glue of the family. They have a different role. We can't expect women to step up and lead. They can help out. It is our responsibility as men to look in the mirror and say, hey, we're not perfect, but how to get perfect is to change the process of how we think.
Let me read a couple of statements here, brother. You're on fire right now. We got CJ Menendez 804 saying it's okay for men to be the head of the household. Men are important to our community. Purple Paisley says, okay, speak on it. She's agreeing with what you're saying. Greg Harris is saying we have to start somewhere. He's talking to somebody else with the root cause for black men. Now, this is what I'm taken back by, or not taken back, but what I'm happy to hear you say actually is that sometimes I have a serious problem with brothers who don't want to see. We'll often talk about the accountability of women. And I do feel that women do need to be held accountable a lot more than they have been. But at the end of the day, if we're going to say that men are supposed to be leaders and lead by example, and we're supposed to do what we're supposed to do, then nothing's going to change in our community unless men make it change. And I think that the most important thing that we can do as men in our community is to hold young men accountable within our community. And that's part of the problem, because I think that young men, they want direction. But the problem that we have to remember, especially with young men that are wavered, is that you can't talk to them without having a solution for them. A lot of times people will preach to young people, but they got nothing to give them. So if you can not only give them advice, but you can say, hey man, here's a job opportunity. Here's a write this number there. Here's a brother that can get you right if you need education. If we're able to offer them something, a program, some kind of mentorship, if we're able to offer them something, a lot of times young men will be even more responsive to you kind of pulling their tail. In some cases, this depends on the relationship that you have with young men in your community. What is your thoughts about that? Because I think that's the key thing that you said, that men, where is our accountability? Because, and I've said this to brothers within the manosphere, it's like, you can talk about the problem of women year in and year out. But at the end of the day, yes, there are problems, but either we have to figure out what is our solution, right? Now, one solution we know is that I personally think, and this is just my opinion, folks, don't get all rovey in your draws. I think men, we need to stop having sex and engaging ourselves with what we call as thoughts. Stop impregnating unworthy women. Keep it in the pants. Don't have sex with women who do not fit your standards. Stop giving it up. We often talk about women giving it up, but men are giving it up too. I'll stop there.
I also think, because you're 100% correct about teaching our boys to be men and holding them accountable, but we got to remember, by being a leader, it's not just understanding about what men do, but we have to teach women to be women. Women are not taught to be women. We have to teach young ladies how to carry themselves with self-worth. We have to teach our women, even at the house, the importance of the household is this family. You're going to carry yourself in the image of me. So you're not going to be wearing that, and that. You have kids, and I need for my kids to see my wife to act like this, and this. Wow. Men need to stop believing that we're not supposed to teach women how to be women. Let a woman tell you, they will try to tell you to be a man, be a real man. They will throw that out there. Men, women come to you, and they come to you with their ears wide open and their mind ready to be taught. In order for you to understand that your job is not just teaching the kids, it's not just bettering yourself, it is to teach her how to be her best woman. And if you're not with this woman no more, she's the man that she's with should thank you for teaching you how good you've taught this woman on how to be a woman. Like straight up, man. The imagery of a woman right now, the spokesperson for women right now are horrible.
Why do you
I didn't
say
mind.
that?
I didn't mind when it was Michelle Obama because I like how she carried herself.
Okay.
Talk with some class. Claire Huxtable back in the day, they coming for her. You know,
Yep.
it's certain how women carried themselves. Those are women. But when you have Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi
Yes.
B speaking about presidency, look,
Right.
let me tell you something. When a woman leads with sex, that is all she has to offer. When she leads with her body and not her brains and not understanding she's leading with her heart, that ain't nothing that you want to deal with. That is the worldly people that I said earlier in the show that men need to avoid. We don't need to deal with those women. Those women can be attractive. Those women can say some things that is going to make you want them. But the best thing for you to do is have your standards and boundaries. Go ahead, brother.
No, what I was going to say, I think I was on a panel one time and there were some ladies and they, in their estimate, thought that Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion, what they were doing was showing women, it was empowerment. And I said, I thought that women were trying to get away from that ideology to be seen as a sexual creature, that empowerment was more than just your sexuality. And I'm thinking to myself, Mr. 1950, that we are going backwards. We are there's you evolve, we're devolving or something of that nature, because we have two women today who are very popular. Three of them, because you had the other sister, that's the full figure sister that's going to Laker games with her butt hanging out.
Disrespectful.
Very disrespectful, and disrespecting the history of our people, because she doesn't even know that what she's doing is playing into a minstrel show from the past. But I don't think, in a nutshell, and I'm gonna let you have this, brother here, that is what we need our young ladies to learn, that is empowerment. And that's what's dangerous about these ladies, because we have young generation that are growing up and they are growing up thinking that that's empowerment. If we've got women saying that it's empowerment, something's wrong with that. And I'll stop there.
Most definitely. We have to be more vocal about the level of disrespect that's going on.
Yes.
Where are the brothers with a voice that's just not going to just talk about Lizzo, about when she brings her ass out,
right?
But articulate themselves like men and say how disappointed we are, how disrespected we feel that you're revealing yourself in such a manner. Where are the strong women that they claim to be strong coming out and saying you're disrespecting our brand as women? You're killing our daughters' minds to believe in this is how they're supposed to carry themselves in order to make men happy.
Right.
If all you have is top half in a grassy backyard, to think you're gonna make a man happy,
right?
That comes a dime a dozen. A woman's package is not designed to be pretty. I'm gonna tell you right now, and a lot of people won't understand what I mean by that. A woman's
break that
package
down.
is not
What
designed
do you
to be,
mean by that, brother?
What I mean by that is that a woman is worth more than her looks. Her value comes with her acts of service for the family. Nobody wants to talk about that. The acts of service for her family is what really brings value from a woman. Everybody else think her package is pretty. We just walk around believing, oh, this woman has to. Anybody I've ever talked to was very attractive. There's very attractive women in this world, but what makes you very attractive is ones who are coachable, feminine, and ready to be taught.
Okay, brother. Let me ask you this question: what do you believe are the factors or the the circumstances within our environment that is creating that, because one can make the argument that the reason why women are seen that way is because it's men who create the environment. There are some that would say that men are the ones that create that environment as the way we look at women and way we promote women. And then, of course, we live in a society today where women are freely, unlike ever before. Because when I grew up in the 80s, you know, when you had Two Live Crew and all of that, women were saying, hey, I don't want to be called a B word and all of that. But now women can kind of take command of that on their own in the music industry, for example. But do men kind of create this narrative, since we tend in general to look at women from that sexual level? You know, naturally we are attracted to them, you know.
Of course. We can create the narrative, but I think that has to do with a lot of feminism.
Okay.
My body, my choice.
Yes.
And women, especially my sisters, they've done a great job removing shame from the community. See, shame is not removed from the Asian community. Shame is not removed from the white community. Neither the Latinos. No, the family structure is too strong. So shame is going to be there. And so the thing is that as men, we need to make sure that we bring this back in our community of shame. Shame that you're having sex too young. Shame that you're showing your body off to the public. Mm-hmm. Shame that your new boyfriend is having graduated high school and he's 25. You're not worthy of my daughter. You're not worthy to be a part of my family. Mm-hmm. You haven't even finished your young responsibility as a man.
Right.
And see, this is what I'm saying. This is where we as men have to teach our wives, our women of the family, all the time to hold these daughters accountable. And us as men, like there's a huge push for men to pedestalize women. And what has happened is that when they believe they're pedestalizing women react to that, to believing that validation from a man's like button, that validation from a man's donation from Cash App is them liking them. It's almost like a drug. They view themselves and validate themselves from men's attention. We really have to get back to holding ourselves accountable in certain ways when it pertains to us spending money.
Right.
I always believe that men who lead with money are weak. If you're getting to know someone, you want to get to know them personally. You don't need to pay for their time. You don't need to pay for all these things that you believe that society is then made up for you to do. There's nothing wrong with treating a woman nice, but you as a man need to understand how your impact on society looks and how it breathes, how it feels. And it ain't blowing your money. Men doing that, this fans only and all this. We got a long way to go, brother. And I'm in this fight. I'm in this fight for men and women. And I'm going to continue to preach this family. I'm going to continue to preach old school ways. I'm going to continue to preach accountability for men. And I'm also going to teach women how to keep their husbands happy. You're a walking wife from when you're born. You're a walking wife. And you have to carry yourself as a wife your whole entire life. Don't complain about not being married if you're not carrying yourself as a wife.
And brother, with that said, and I agree with that, on the flip side of that, what is the expectation for men going into this 21st? We're in the 21st century now. We as men, what do we really need to do? How should men be carrying themselves? In your opinion, what should we be? Because the game has changed, right? We have the dating apps. Everybody has got access to more people than ever before. But really, despite all the technology, what should we be doing as men and how we carry ourselves? If women are supposed to carry themselves as wives, what's the role that we should play?
We need to carry ourselves in the image of God. I think we've got away.
Tell the truth.
I think we've got away from understanding the epic power of a man. We have become emotional.
Mm-hmm.
We need to become stronger.
Mm-hmm.
We have become reliant. We need to become independent. We have become weak. We need to become stronger. We have become quiet. We need to become opinionated. You know, there are so many different areas, but I think the biggest thing we need to carry ourselves as the prize. Carry ourselves as the leaders, carry ourselves as the role models of the community. There was a time you couldn't get away with anything in the community without several men knocking on your door because they seen your son doing something. Checking a man that was drunk down the street yelling at neighbors. 10 men would be at his door telling him this is unacceptable. Right. We need rules. We need to get back to the law. And the law of God has never changed. And we as men need to follow and have some type of structure in regards of ourselves. We can't just be freely wheelie out here thinking everything is going to fall in place with this 50-50 mindset.
Right. Let me ask you this question, brother. Do you see with this younger generation, are some of these guys in this younger generation waking up? I know on YouTube, there's a movement where men are talking about black men going their own way, or it's black men saving themselves. And then there's also talk amongst young brothers in terms of saying, you know what, why should I get married? Because the woman's going to end up getting everything. Marriage is going to make me broke. It's going to put me in the poorhouse. If I go through a divorce, the woman gets everything. The man ultimately loses in the end. Now, I would say I wouldn't encourage a defeatist attitude. However, the younger generation does have their cold feet about the idea of plunging into marriage when they have probably seen the older generation, their uncles, their fathers, maybe go through some hard times. What are your thoughts about that in terms of where the younger generation is?
I want to say this to the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
Stop believing that you have more money than you do. You're not these men that you're referring to. They didn't have a lot. Yeah, they got a divorce, and okay, she got a little something here and there. But let's stop believing we're just rich out of control. Ain't none of us Bill Gates in here, man. Okay. Right. We just need it. What are we protecting? Our assets? Okay, she takes a couple TVs, or she gets the extra couch in the house or something. Okay. I mean, like, she's not staying home. You're not balling where she's staying home. She gets alimony. She ain't Dre's wife. Them are rich people that can pay money without it being a problem. 95% of the country you're talking about. Stop acting like you're balling. Like, marriage can be a great thing, but it only can be a great thing to strong men. Marriage is for the strongest men who are comfortable with themselves, men that know themselves, men that are strong leaders, men that understand how to overcome obstacles, men that are going to be good parents, men that know how to have this woman understand that these men in this world are. Hold on. Let me say this point. Men who tell women the things that they need to hear,
yes,
is important instead of what they want to hear. We need to understand that us as men stop lying, conniving, manipulating these women into believing something that they're not. And you as men, stop acting like you marrying a woman, you losing out. But you having kids by her. It's just backwards to me. Right. You know, stop believing that you're worth more than you have. Like, I can understand if I'm worth $20-something million. Of course I'm gonna get a prenuptial. I'll be a fool not to, right? Even in a marriage, there's a thing called a postnuptial. A lot of people don't even understand that. But what I'm saying to you as men, why be with a woman that you know that's going to have your kids and she's going to live a traditional life? She deserves something. Why do we think that these women don't deserve anything? They are a huge part if you're doing the right thing. Shout out to my boy Steve the Dean, man. Appreciate you.
Let me give Steve the Dean a clap. We got the man mindset in the house. Steve the Dean. His brother is a dating coach. This brother puts it down, tells it like it is. He's saying that you're speaking facts up here today. So let me give a clap to that brother that coming in the chat room. Peace to you. Peace to you, brother. Welcome to the Information Man Show, brother. I check him out sometimes. I go over to his channel whenever I have a chance and check out what the brother is putting down. I've always had respect for the brother ever since I used to see him on O'Shea's program. I always have respect for the things that he puts down, the Dean. So thank you for coming over. The manmindset.com. Check it out. He's in the description of his name. Those of you brothers out there, check out his channel and check out what he's about. So I appreciate I got to get him on the show too at some point in time. But Mr. 1950, man, you're dropping classic Jews here. I think like what the man mindset was saying. He said that these guys just don't understand women. Do you think that's the problem, that we don't understand women? Is there a lack of connection there?
You ever seen at the high school when it's a segregation?
Mm-hmm.
It's the athletes, it's the guys who are very smart over there, and the women is very smart. And then there's the hood cats, and then there's just the regular folk, right? There are segregations, right? And when it comes to women, there are those with, and then there's over there without. And those without complain about the ones with. And so what they do is they don't want to take accountability for what they're doing.
Yes.
And what they do is they complain about that woman, because this woman doesn't want to date a creepy guy who don't know how to talk, don't know how to act, and don't know how to make her feel good.
That's right.
They complain about this woman wanting to talk to somebody like myself who makes her feel good, and say, oh, okay, well, he got a little money, so that's why she want him. They can't say, oh, no, he got more game than me, or he makes her feel good, so I got to step that part of me up. I didn't really make her feel good. That's why she's not into me. See, that's the accountability part that men don't want to say. They can't admit that the man they looking at is better than you. We can't do that. We can't admit that. But we can admit that woman is sorry for talking to him. That is quickly said. The complaining about women must stop. And the reason why, because we can always bring up what women do. But women is not up under nobody's jurisdiction. And I say things like that to trigger thought processes of what that means. And what I mean by jurisdictions, that means a household of law. There's no man running that woman that's telling her to say, hey, we're not acting like this in public. We ain't gonna get down like that. We ain't gonna be cussing in public. We ain't gonna be having your cleavage all the way out down to your knee. We ain't doing that.
Wow.
So yeah, we gonna complain about women dressing and talking crazy in public. Women gonna be women. I don't know, man.
So instead of us as men complaining about that which is, like, for example, if that's a female's nature, we all have a nature. Men have their nature, and sometimes biologically, whatever it may be, we're not going to change what our nature is. So instead of complaining about the nature, we need to be focusing on what we can do on ourselves and what we're due, and be accountable to what we're responsible for. Because would you agree or disagree with me, brother, that if men change the narrative by our behavior and we change the barometer by our behavior and what we do, ultimately women are going to possibly follow along when we rock and shape how we want the society to be. Ultimately, they have to go, they have to fall in line based on what we do. Behavior.
100%. 100%. And this is where if men wasn't so thirsty, they wouldn't have a fans only page. But then you got men complaining about fans only.
Right.
Go ahead.
The man mindset says here, what can a woman do that a man does not allow?
That's 100% correct. What can she do that we don't allow? Like, think about what he's saying. Like, how can we complain about a woman cheating on me? Oh, she cheated on me. Okay, well, you allowed it to happen. Like, we as men have to take accountability. Yeah, she did wrong, but you chose this woman.
Right.
You know, at what point did you not know that this is how she get down? We as men, we are the fathers of the world. We call ourselves leaders. We call ourselves directors. We call ourselves so many different names. But what we don't call ourselves is wrong. We are wrong right now. We are wrong to be allowing so many men to just like destroy women in these type of ways, man. We must do better. Now women deserve some accountability. Now, come on, I said on this show and told you that.
Right. Keep talking, brother. I'm going to step away for just one moment to assist my young one.
Not a problem.
Keep breaking it down. Okay, I'm going to mute my mic, and I'm going to make you front and center here. Here we go.
So what I wanted to say is this. This is what I do. I rant. As men, we need to know that women are going to follow. And if we know that, why is it that we blame them for everything when we're the leaders? We have to know also that in order to lead, you have to be prepared to lead. You have to have the game to move. And people hear the word game thinking that like I'm playing around, I'm manipulating. No. Game is the mindset of your plan. Game is being in love with yourself and understanding that if you're not in love with you, you're not able to be a leader of no one because you will fall victim to whatever she got to dish out to you. Have boundaries for yourself as a man. Just know, and as a man, you have an obligation to yourself more than anybody else. Be selfish. You need to be selfish, and you need to understand what selfish looks like. Being selfish is this. I'm not going to let the world's influence me. I'm not going to allow women to believe that everything in this house is supposed to be equal. I'm going to lead with her understanding that I have her best interest in hand in when she follows. But I also have her understand this: just because you're a beautiful woman don't mean you don't have obligation in this household. There's things that you need to do. There's things that you need to understand that's your responsibility in this household. And I'm going to hold you accountable to doing those. And if you are blessed to bear my kids, then you should know that when it's time to raise them in the image of me, if I was to die tomorrow, you would need to transfer their father's information into these kids. You need to understand that if you have a baby by any man, it needs to be a man that you were married to. Same with you, men. We have so many things that we need to correct as men in this world that we sometimes forget that when we point our fingers, we got three pointing at us. Go ahead, brother. You're on mute. I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Thank you, my dear brother. We have Linda saying she gave a $10 super chat, which we appreciate. Great commentary, much needed conversation. I'm a product of the 60s. I was raised that that way, or I was raised, worked together, and have. Things have changed dramatically. Again, great commentary. With that said, I thank you for the super chat. So as a result of that, I'm going to have to give you the super chat celebration just for a quick moment here. I appreciate you coming over, and here we go.
Tell them run it up. I wake up. Yeah. I wake up. Flex, I'm down now. Check. No drip, this. Tell them run it up.
Thank
No
you for
sleep,
the
no
super chat.
rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Tell them run it up. I wake up. Flex, I'm down now. Check. No drip, this. Tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Tell them run it up. 9 out of 10 roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely. Turn to a savage, now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans, don't need no friends, I got my homies. Thought I could trust you, I find out you tried to zone me. I'm number one up on that court, I'm nigga gritty. The first one in, the last one out, can't call me lazy. Put in my hours, send the invoice and they pay me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for that super chat. I appreciate everybody that's in the chat room that's come through today. I hope you've been enjoying the program today. Mr. 1950 has been dropping nothing but jewels, dimes, just giving us a wealth of wisdom. And now let's get back to the program. As we get close to a conclusion, I want to hear the rest of what this brother's got to say. This is I think, a very important live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Do me the biggest favor. Share this in your social media. Share it in all of your social media. Go ahead and do me another good favor, and that is, if you are a content creator, put this in your community tab as well. Like the video, subscribe, tell other people about the channel. But most of all, I want people to subscribe to Mr. 1950.
Appreciate
In
that.
the description of this video, I have both his YouTube channel link, both his website link. I will, as he continues talking, I will drop several times both those links in the chat room. So I want people to go ahead, give this brother support. And I want to thank Linda, if I got the name right, for dropping the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. And once again, I appreciate everybody that's been coming over here to the channel. I want to give you a clap. And let's get back to Mr. 1950, ladies and gentlemen. There he is. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Tell the truth, everybody. Y'all know how we do it over here.
Tell the truth.
Let's go ahead, brother. Continue with where you were going, and I'll jump in at the right time.
Yeah, I was basically just putting things in perspective as, the man understanding themselves, understanding the value in themselves, and understanding how powerful we are. I think society has minimized what we actually do. We're basically, in the society's eyes, that we're providers, and that's it. Providers and protectors. We're not supposed to do anything else. Leadership has been taken away. Structure has been taken away. And what I mean by taken away is that we've allowed too many of outside influences to influence the male and woman relationship when it comes to how we raise our kids, how we function every day, how we communicate, how we talk, how we date, how we act, how we raise our kids. There's so many different areas, but we as men and women need to understand our roles in the relationship. I think that we don't even want to discuss that now. Now it's supposed to be like an open platform to doing whatever. Oh, okay, well, that's old stuff. So, I don't want a women, women seem, a lot of times women surround themselves around like-minded individuals. And what that means is they have a lot of women that toot their own horns, and they toot each other's horns, and that's how they get down. But as men, we need to have men around us who challenge some of our theories so we can be logical thinkers and understand what that looks like. Well, we don't do that enough. A lot of men don't even want dialogue with another man in regards to something that's maybe uncomfortable, because we've been trained not to even be confrontational.
Yes.
It's just, we just got to get better overall as men.
Tell me if you agree or disagree. I think the most important thing, and I think we touched on it pretty much, but I cannot emphasize anymore, brother, the importance of family being the foundation for everything that we want to strive for. Family is the foundation of it. Oftentimes I hear brothers sometimes speak about family, but yet they have never created a family.
Mm-hmm.
They may speak as their experts, but then I'll ask them a very simple question. Who have you been responsible for outside of yourself? Because I think the minute that I had a family, I've been married before, I had responsibility of a mortgage, a home, responsibility. And then when you see a child come into the world, I think that that's when your manhood or those instincts that you've been taught or natural instincts begin to kick in, along with what you've been taught along the way by other men. And that's where you start to really be tested, because as men, this is my philosophical opinion about it, brother. As men, we are supposed to be producers, leaders, and we are problem solvers and builders of societies. While women give birth to society, we build societies. And so,
and they take care of it and nurture
it. And they take care of it, right? And that's the reason why I feel like we can only, as men, afford to complain about so much. Whereas we're not women. We're men. We're supposed to be logical. We're supposed to figure out how we solve the problem. If we don't like something that's going on, how do you solve that issue? And that's why I said earlier, one of the next important things is that I think as men, we have to create some type of code of conduct and standard to decide the type of women we're going to let in our life, the kind of families we want to have and want to shape, the kind of mindset that we have when we come to dealing with women. Confidence, knowing who you are and how you move and operate, and not making someone, worshiping someone and putting them above you. And ultimately, I believe that women are attracted to men who stand on their square, who are unwilling to be shaped. I notice in my own personal life that when I stick to my belief and I'm willing to challenge the woman in my life, that woman tends to respect me more because I stand on my square. I don't think women respect men that always agree with everything that they say or do. I don't think I think they see you as a man that accommodates them, but I don't think they really want a man that they can push over. And I also don't believe that women women want men who spend a lot of time crying on their shoulders when that's what your damn shoulder is for them to cry on your shoulders. Which is why when I'm dating and I'm involved with a woman, I don't spend a lot of time complaining to that woman about my problems. But that's just me, brother.
Me too. I'm with you, man. I am the rock of the family, man, and I'm proud of that. That's why. Do you see silverbacks emotional? You know what I mean? Do you? It's just it's the thought process of understanding your strength. You're strong for a reason. You got to display that. And even on my IG, I talk a lot of mess on IG because I try to make it fun, right? But really, every single one of my posts, more than likely, are very opinionated, driven to provoke thoughts.
Right.
And if you guys want to follow me, it's Silverback Lifestyle, or just type in Mission 1950. You'll find me in that too. But
definitely, what
I try to do is I try to show society what the imagery of what weak men and over-sexualized women are looking like. And I do a really, really good job of that. And I also do a job of throwing things in there on the back end, showing us how it should look, how we should be working, how we should be performing.
Right.
So, man.
Well, let me just say this, brother. As we conclude, this is what we're going to do, brother. I got to get you back on again,
Of course.
for another time that we can have this kind of conversation. We got my man, we got the mindset in the house. I would love to get a bunch of you brothers on my channel and have a nice panel discussion, but I got to get you back over again. And we got because there's more questions that I have to unpack. Can't do it all here, but can't do it all now. That is, but we will bring Mr. 1950 back to unpack other more questions and thoughts. And what I want to do when you come back a second time is that I really want to solicit questions from the audience that I can just basically facilitate to you. So when you come back on a second time, we're going to try to get the audience more. The audience was involved, but I think next time I want to get more. I want to direct questions more towards them to ask you, because a lot of people in here have different thoughts and what have you. And I love it. We'll try to come on a little bit earlier so that we can get other time zones and all that good stuff as well. Brother, this is what I do on my program. I don't like to ask people what their last words are. I don't like that. I like to say, give us your great words as we conclude, brother.
Got you. Men should be men all the time, not just sometime. It's never convenient to be anything other than a man. Be a man all the time and not just sometime. That's for me. I got a strong feeling that men are coming back strong. I got a strong feeling that women are also going to be in a position they want to be in to listen and understand what men are, why men are made to lead. Value is not just in her beauty. I'm going to continue to say that a value in a woman is not just in her beauty. She has way more value than just her beauty. And only men with the game understand that. Stop thinking women are just about her beauty, her looks, and her physical expression, because that is where you lose. Leaders also understand is that telling a woman things that she needs to hear,
yes,
is very important. Telling her what she wants to hear will never, ever get you where you need to go. Men are not always, I like what my man said earlier, man, we're just not gentle.
It needs to be what the woman needs to hear, not what she wants to hear.
Yeah.
And as men, we're not civil. We are respectful. We are confident, and we are to lead. And to lead not by our mouths, but by example, I would say. It looks like everybody enjoyed you on the program today. People came in. And let me say what's up to Maurice Muhammad, who's just come in, who says this: I have been married for 40 years, and me and I have the only movie each other 2 weeks, then got married 2 weeks later, and we are still married to this very day. I think
beautiful day.
The wording was a little there and there, but the wording was on. I get what you're saying, Maurice Muhammad. Thank you for coming over and tell the truth. Definitely tell the truth. Everybody, let me give Brother 1950 a clap here. Appreciate him being here. And definitely appreciate you being here, brother. We're going to do this again, brother. As soon as possible. And everybody check out his channel. He has incredible discussions like this on his channel. He has brothers that come on. He has various different men who come on his channel, and they have these kind of powwows.
Yeah, on Tuesday, I got a Hotep Jesus coming.
Okay.
Hotep Jesus is about to be a big one. So that one's going to be a war. It's called the State of Manhood. Hotep Jesus is coming on for that one. So we about to rock out. We got Bernard Riley on Wednesday.
Shout out to Bernard Riley and his program and everybody. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I get my butt over there and check that one out. That should be an exciting one, folks. Don't miss it as well. My man, the man mindset has just super chatted me. Thank you, brother. I'm going to give you the super chat celebration before I get out of here.
Man,
but once again, I appreciate you being here, brother. So Let's try to do it again, man.
Definitely appreciate you, man. Go ahead. You know, like I said, man, I respect the platform. I always have the professionalism. I'm gonna tell you, man, the whole entire professionalism of the stream, from the look, from the way you articulate, the things you talk about, brother, just keep grinding it out, man. I love the platform, man. Just keep doing it. And anything, like I said, we're gonna rock again, man, and you know, open this thing up, man. You know, gonna keep doing our thing, man.
All right, brother. Well, you take care. Have a good rest of your evening. And once again, it was great having you here again. Great having you here, brother. All right, brother. Take care. Peace. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. That is the man right there, 1950. Make sure y'all get over there and subscribe to his channel as well, and check out his website. Once again, I have both his channel and website in the description of this video. So what I want to do right now, because brother, the man mindset, that brother has a great channel too. Check him out. I'm going to give him my usual music and super chat rendition. So I appreciate the brother coming over and doing his thing as well and dropping that $20 super chat on me. And here we go. Peace to you, brother.
Tell him run it off. I wake up. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip, this. Tell him run it off. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell him run it off. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip, this. Tell him run it off. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell him run it off. 9 out of 10 roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely. Turn to a savage, now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans, don't need no friends, I got my homies. Thought I could trust you, I find out you tried to zone me. I'm number one up on that court, I'm Nick McGrady. The first one in, the last one out, can't call me lazy. Put in my hours, send the invoice and they pay me. I need 6 rings like MJ and Tom Brady. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip, this. Tell him run it off. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell him run it off. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip, this. Tell him run it off. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell him run it off. Y'all gon' make me take that.
All right. My man Dean. The man mindset. It's a man mindset, brother. Thank you for coming over and dropping the $20 super chat. I definitely appreciate that wholeheartedly, brother, for coming over, supporting the stream with me and Mr. 1950, and definitely got to get you on the platform as well. And I'll be back over there to check out what you're doing. Once again, everybody, this is the Information Man Show. Thank you for coming over and watching this program. I want to thank everybody that came out last night. I had a big crowd last night that showed up late night. I was very surprised because I was talking about a very controversial issue around the issue of Dr. Umar Johnson. And I had a good crowd yesterday. So I appreciate everybody that came out for that. Remember, once again, the second channel, the Information Man Speaks podcast. I'll be podcasting or either uploading something or going live tomorrow. And you'll see me throughout the week, either uploading something or just going live on that second channel. I'm getting support. That channel is growing steadily, slowly, but steadily, because I'm going live over there almost every other night. And that channel has potential to do some great things. So I have things planned for that channel to continue further pushing that content. As well, when it comes to podcasting, I'm also on the traditional podcasts such as Google Play, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Stitcher. I'm on all of that. And what's great about that is that the material on those platforms are not the same podcasting material that's on the YouTube version. The YouTube version is unique to itself. So I want everybody to keep that in mind if you're interested in following me on any of those things like Spotify and what have you. Once again, I want people to share this video in your social media, in your community tab. If you're a content creator, please do it in all of that and very well, and promote the channel. And now, most importantly, I want you to go over and subscribe to Mr. 1950. Check out his website. This was a good build today. We had great conversation. The brother was dropping all type of dimes on us all over the place. I got to give him a clap for that again. He was just all over the place, but not all over the place, but on point within the place. He was completely on point, and it can't be denied whatsoever that brother was on point today, and I really enjoyed him coming over. We will do it again. Everybody have a great night. You know how I do it over here with the music, the fun, the whole 9 yard. Let me go back into the chat room and just say peace to everybody and give everybody a last shout out. We got Keith, who came in the house, who was strong in the house today. We got my French sister got my French connection, the French sister she's from France, and she's saying she says my song. She likes that song a lot. She has a great channel. She has a football channel, which is basically European soccer, or what the soccer that they play in the world soccer, which is really the world sport, to be quite honest with you. And she's a big follower of Sergeman, the Paris team, their number one team there within their league, PSG as they call it, PSG. Let me put some respect on that. And let me say shout out to DOD. He said great interview. Linda, thank you again for the super chat. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for the super chat.
We got Maurice Muhammad coming back in saying that was supposed to read married 40 years. Okay, so you cleaned it up there. Read 40 years. We know each other for 2 weeks, then got married 2 weeks later, and now we are still married to this very day. Thank you for clarifying what you were saying there. I appreciate that, Maurice Muhammad. We got CJ who's saying drop that knowledge. It's much needed. Great. And everybody, if you are new to this channel and you came over for the first time, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and make sure you subscribe to the second channel, the Information Man Show. Information Man Speaks podcast. It's on the same page of this channel. You scroll down, you'll see my logo for that channel. Make sure you subscribe to Mr. 1950 and check out his website. Do that. Let's not play around here, folks. Let's do that, because this is how we grow channels. We got Sister, the lovely Sister Natural out of Chicago, Chi-Town in the house. And we got Rebirth. Rebirth, thank you for coming over, saying I appreciate the game. We appreciate you. The brother was dropping real game in the house here. I appreciate the man mindset. My man Dean, I got to get back over to his channel and check him out when he's going live over there. And I know he's over there with the game champion game, doing their thing together too. They collaborate a lot of times, and shout out to him as well. So with that said, everybody, I'm going to get on out of here. You all take care. We got my man, the Hawk. I always call him the Hawk there. How you doing? He says, I'm about to watch this from the beginning. Hey, thank you. And do me the biggest favor. Share it out too. And subscribe to 1950, Mr. 1950, and check out his website. It's in the description of this video. Okay, my dear brother. So now let's get on out of here. I got to play the music. I got to get the move on, but I appreciate y'all. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Peace. Appreciate you all.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel. Information is power.
Tell the truth.
You've been listening to the Information Man Show today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming through. Take care, everybody. Peace, everybody. Have a great night.